This is Danny with QuadLugs, and we're going to finish up the build on the Box Quad. In this video, we're going to go ahead and mount the ESC, the motors, the KK2, the receiver, and pretty much complete it so it's ready to go fly. So let's get started. Let me turn this around. We're going to go ahead and put the Q-brain on first. Now, I usually put these on more, not necessarily the, number 1, 2, 3, or 4 going to a right corresponding motor, but mainly for convenience and to actually, I think, work a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and mount this, and then we're going to go over that. So I've cut some Velcro at 2 inches long, and I think I normally do it like, I do the width of this ruler, which is about 1 1/4. So it doesn't have to be exact by no means. And we're going to go ahead and mount this. And let's see, let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and put these two together. Now I'm going to mount this like this, so it'll go down through there. And what I've done too ahead of time is I've marked the approximate center, and have X marks the center there. So this is approximate. We'll put that on right there. Let me open this up. I can put a little pressure on it. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the battery through. There we go. And this is going to be our controls. You can always, enlarge these holes if you want to, or actually you're going to be cutting them out. They're marked for you, and then you can cut them smaller from the get-go if you want to also. But if you cut it the way we have them marked, it's been working out pretty good like that. And I'm just going to pull these through, make this a little bit neater. There we go. Now, with the KK, this is going to be my color, first of all, I'm using the color for the front, and I put the, the tab on the box in the back. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1 is going to be here, and actually on our Q-brain it's going to be number 4. Sounds a little confusing. It's really not. If you use a Q-brain, you'll find you'll do this quite often, just to have it set up nice. If you, this is actually 1 here. You'd have wires crossing and all kind of stuff. And on here it doesn't matter, just as long as you put your control wire in, the appropriate location on your KK board. Okay, so this is actually going to be our number 1 motor. So we're going to go ahead and do that. this is number 1 is actually on the Q-brain. Number 1 ESC in there is going to be actually the number 2 motor. So we just need to keep tabs of that. Not hard. So that's all I'm doing right now. I'll be right back and let me finish that up. And here, you see how I'm doing. I'm just putting it where it's going to go just so each one is identified as I do it. And hopefully we won't have any goof up. And that's okay. We're back and we're done. And what I did, I went ahead and put this. Let me put it if you can see it there. I wrote down ESC, the motor that it's going to, and the color. Because, you know, on the Q-brain, you know, like ESC 1 is red, 2 is orange, 3 is white, 4 is brown. So we have the ESC going to which motor, or to the motor that it's going to rather, and then the color that's going to be used when we go to hook it up to the KK board. So ESC number 4 on the Q-brain is going to actually motor number 1, which is going to be brown. Number 1 ESC on the Q-brain is going to number 2 motor, which is going to be red. Number 2 ESC is actually going to go to number 3 motor, which is orange. And number 3 ESC on the Q-brain is actually going to number 4 motor, which is going to be white. There we go. So that is done. What we can go ahead and do now, and then we'll close this up for a second. Again, we have some more 2-inch pieces cut. And let me do this before I go too far. Sorry about that. And we're going to go ahead and put this, let's do it this way. We're going to go ahead and put this on the KK board. We'll try to center it up. And we'll go ahead and press it down on there. Okay. And this is our alarm. And you know, we have the videos in the quick build guide series on, you know, the KK2 control board holder lug, and you know, and it also holds the receiver pad. This is the lemon receiver here, and I'm setting this one up, and this is going to the Mesa RC foam fighters over in Colorado, and I know that they're using Spectrum, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a lemon receiver, and I'm going to go ahead and set it up for Spectrum. Now also, if you want, we have a couple of videos on our site along with the quick build guide series that shows how we wire up the receiver and set up the KK board. So if you need some help with that, you know, please take a look at that. So let's go ahead and put this down on there. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and put this thing, and you want to get it pretty much in the center. And a good way to know that is, you know, a good guideline is just that seam right there. And we're going to move this pretty much all the way up to the front. And this works real good. It gives you enough room for the battery. And, you know, it doesn't have to be, the controller doesn't have to be exactly in here. I'm running them like this right now. And I tell you, and it works very, very well. So I haven't had a problem with that at all. So we'll go ahead and make sure that's down and it's square. And you can make sure it's square by the wood right there. And we're going to go ahead and put a 3-inch piece right here, and this is going to be for our battery. And we'll get it pretty close to the center, and our battery is going to wind up sitting on that. So we'll get these wires in a second. We'll go ahead and move on here. I'm going to go ahead and get the motors mounted now, and after I'm done with that, I'll come back to you and we'll start wiring them in. But you can see how fast this goes. I'm going to tell you, the Q-Brain, I am so sold on that thing as far as being easy. I mean, you know, it's very easy and it works very well. So there we go there. Now I'm going to go ahead and put these on, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, we're back, and we got them all put on. So we're going to go ahead and just start connecting our motors here. Double check that was crossed over there. And that's number 4. Number 4 is going to 1. I just wanted to make sure they weren't crossed over. That would be a bad thing. You know, one good way to do that is as you put them through, you know, just go ahead and connect them to put the motors on first. And as you run these wires in, just go ahead, you know, and connect them to the respective motor. And then you know you'll never have a problem. I guess I'm being a little brave. And we're going to go ahead and put these on, but we'll check rotation. And, you know, I really like this stuff here. It's a Velcro wire tie, and makes it really nice. Let's double check this too, just to make sure. Make sure we have the wires. Yep, we got them all, and that's number 3. And number 3, I'm looking on my sheet here, number 3 should be going to motor number 4. That's correct. So we'll go ahead and do this, and let me finish this up, and I'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, I'm back. I'm putting the last piece on here. I'm going to trim this. You can secure the wiring down however you choose. I mean, you could, you know, run, there's a, you know, room underneath the wood here, so you can actually run, you know, a tie if you want to. You know, you can always do this number. Let's see how hard it is. This is the first time I've tried this, but it's a little hard to get in there, but you know what? It'll work. And that way you can, you know, kind of make your wires nice and tidy there. And, you know, that makes a real good job, actually. You know, let me go ahead and do this, and I'll be right back. Okay, got it done. It didn't take that long at all. It wasn't bad. I went ahead and, you know, took this out, so the KK board, so I could, you know, get in there. And let's go ahead and stick that back in. And actually, you know, that's the first time for me to do it that way, and I think that's pretty smart. Worked out pretty good. Okay. Now, when we check rotation, you know, we may have to take this Velcro off, just pop it off, switch the you know, the lead on the motor, switch any two of them to change rotation. But we'll do that in a little bit, and you know, that'll work out good. So we have our motor deal on a list here on the KK board, and please get familiar with it. It's really going to help you out, and you'll see how it works, or what it requires. But the ground is on the outside, the control is on the inside, and that's for the motors and for the receiver to be on the receiver wiring also. The number one motor on the KK board, it requires the power. So on the Q-brain, number 3 has the power. So what we're going to do, we're going to switch it over to number 4. So we're basically going to take the power and the ground off of this and put it onto the brown, which is number 1 motor. So we all know how to do that. If not, you can just lift the tab up right there and pull the wire out. It's real easy to do. Just be careful if you're using a knife like I am. Okay, so we took that out, and we're using a brown for our number 1 motor to go onto the controller. So here's the brown, and we're going to go ahead and put the power and ground onto the brown control wire. Okay, let's see here. We have the ground. Turn it. And you can hear them click in, and you're good to go. So this is going to, brown is going to be number 1. And red is number 2. Red control wire. And orange is number 3. And white is going to be number 4. If you'll go over to the quick build guide, you'll see the videos on setting up the KKs. Instead of me going over that again, if you don't mind, you can go there and it'll walk you through, and I think it's pretty good. If there's any other info you need on that, please, you know, put a comment at the bottom, or, you know, shoot me an email, and I'll do everything I can to get back with you to, you know, help you out if I can. So anyway, the wiring's done. We're ready for to balance the props and put the props on. Everything else is ready to go. I mean, okay, I'm going to step away and set up the KK board and the receiver and check the rotation on the motors. And if you don't mind, go over to the quick build guide, and in that section in the quick build guide series, there's a couple videos on wiring the ESC and the receiver and setting up the board. And if you'll do that, we'll come back and we should be pretty much done. Okay, we're back. Everything's set up, and checked rotation on the motors. Had to change every one of them, you know, that's how that goes sometimes. But it's done, easy enough. And so what we have left to do now is to balance the props and go ahead and install them, you know, the clockwise and counterclockwise in the proper locations. The battery's just going to mount here. This is not the battery I'm going to be using. I'm actually going to be using a 2200, but I was using this to set up. The battery's going to go in that location like that. The lid will close. I normally put a little bit of tape right here just to make sure it stays down. And a painter's tape works great because it doesn't, you know, take this off. But you could, or take the surface paper off. But you could, you know, put a piece of Velcro or some kind of latch in there if you wanted to. But I put a little piece of painter's tape on there and it works out real good. And this is it. It's ready for props. Makes a nice, neat job. Plenty of cooling for the ESC the way we have it installed. Ready to go. So we'll see you on the next video, and we'll do a maiden flight on this, and it's been a lot of fun again doing this build. I think you're gonna like it. The more I fly it, the more I like it. I'll be quite honest with you. It flies fantastic. Now that's my transmitter saying hey. So anyway, we'll see you on the next one. This is Daniel with QuadLugs. Thanks a lot.